Throughout the early access coverage to Thrones of Decay, Nurgle had a bad time. Let's just be honest. They kind of got crumped by Dwarfs and Empire, to be honest, to a large degree. Today, they're out for revenge here, and Leon Zhang's going to show sort of the developed meta build for, I guess, Nurgle here, and it's quite interesting to see. First of all, Lord choice makes a lot of sense. Flying Lord can potentially dodge shots, trying to avoid damage as much as possible, while casting spells to affect the battle, has some AP damage and poison in case it needs to help pressure some gyros. Also has got some Plague Ogres for some heavy mass, armor-piercing anti-infantry. An armor-piercing abounds here with plenty of Marauders, Great Weapons, Pestigores, and Chaos Warriors Great Weapons all mixed together here to form a nice wide AP line. Then Furies, of course, for auxiliary support and to shut down missile units. Yumai's here, his opponent for the Dwarfs, looking like a fairly standard-ish Dwarf build. The Doomseeker's definitely an interesting option. I guess he was kind of expecting to face a lot of infantry here. Trollhammer and Torpedoes can be a good shot. He's got some Corlers here as well, and Longbeards in the front line. I'm a little bit worried about the lack of numbers and about the lack of traditional anti-large Slayer units. Demon Slayer here, and 2 Dragon Slayers. Maybe just the one? Yeah, 2 Dragon Slayers. Who can definitely get in here and fight the Ogres, counteract them. Granted, there's not a lot of large units in this build, but Slayer's fast enough even to help shut down these Furies, which are going to come in here and disrupt the Corlers immediately. Tough to stop for the Dwarfs. You kind of just gotta wait for them to charge in and then countercharge with the Doomseekers, which is exactly what we see. Corlers have the armor to take that damage, so they can kind of bait and switch there a little more effectively, but with, again, lack of numbers here, Pestigores, other units are able to find gaps and exploit the situation, get through, and start to inundate the Corlers nonetheless. Slayer heroes also are going to get a little bit bogged down fighting, where they probably should be focusing on trying to just mirror the Ogres wherever they go. Right now, the Ogres are kind of hanging back, looking for good opportunities. Come in here and get some good charges while this initial disruption phase takes place. Yeah, Trollhammer and Torpedoes, I guess, got crumped there by the Ogres. Yeah, they were able to exploit that there, and the Furies together pretty much wiped them to the last Dwarf, which is most unfortunate. That's a pretty good amount of value lost out there, but yeah, being completely wiped there. Marauders, though, and other units definitely taking some damage. The Doomseekers are fighting back fairly effectively, so let's get in close. Watch this melee grind ensue. Problem here for Yumai is that he spent a lot of resources on missile units that then aren't going to do much in a melee grind. Of course, hindsight 2020, but I would probably hazard guess that you can expect a lot of melee rush from Nurgle in this matchup. It's kind of all they got, to be honest. But yeah, the Doomseekers definitely seem like a solid option. I just don't think the support units around them were necessarily the best. Even just wider with miners with blasting charges, I guess, I don't know. They also just get crumped absolutely by all this AP infantry, so tricky. Actually tricky, now that I think about sort of, again, developed builds for Nurgle in this matchup. But yeah, not sure, to be honest. Let's see what the Doomseekers can do, though. There are still 3 units of them left. Got a nice break here with the Longbeards. Yeah, Longbeards do have a little bit better stats. They can hold up somewhat better in an engagement like this. But Slayer heroes also doing a pretty good job just holding for the time being. A lot of Marauders and other units fight here, and the Doomseekers, importantly, staying together so they can fight here as a big unit. I say that. The one unit does get isolated. And let's watch sort of what happens. I'll keep the health bars all up here. This Longbeard also getting a little bit separated. The Dwarfs are very critical that you stay together as much as possible, because they, low movement speed is punishing for positional mistakes. But let's see. We also got these Doomseekers starting to peel over here. Maybe looking to get a rear charge on those Nurgle Warriors. These Doomseekers, although initially do a really nice job sort of cutting through, eventually the new numbers do start to tell against them. This is the biggest issue with Doomseekers by far. In a situation like this, just getting heavily outnumbered. The math does not work in their favor, and they end up getting ground down pretty significantly. I feel like, yeah, maybe some extra physical resistance or maybe some melee defense. I'm not sure, to be honest, what would be the best solution to help Doomseekers. Granted, they're still very good, and they're going to perform well in this game. Just don't think they're consistently quite what you need them to be. But the Plague Ogres here also getting some really nice value. If we take a look, 160, 170 kills, 1,500 values, definitely paid for themselves both. And this is why I say again, the anti-large units maybe needed a unit or two of regular anti-large slayers, or yeah, just keep those dragon slayers focused as much as possible on the Plague Ogres. Granted, they have been bogged down, and credit to Leon here for keeping the heroes bogged down as much as possible, not allowing them to fight the Plague Ogres. But definitely was the Slayer hero's priority target, and as we see from the one unit at least, they were able to kind of run rampant. This other unit here also basically untouched, has been a huge issue, as they've done massive damage and cleaned up a lot of value here, so yeah, maybe all Slayers, honestly. Like, not... Maybe that's too much of a meme, but yeah, a mix of Doomseekers and regular Slayers, probably just a big old fat mob of armored infantry. Maybe. Still keep the Slayer hero set up, because they seem pretty decent. They're fighting just fine for the time being. But, yeah, Doomseekers, especially fighting against the Plague Ogres directly, just are not going to trade super efficiently, even if they are able to get some pretty good damage in. The numbers game does not tell well in their favor, so looking like an inevitable victory for the forces of Nurgle, which is, again, nice to see sort of how this build has developed. And I will say this Nurgle build definitely has some teeth. Has a lot going for it, for sure. Arguably not super mobile, but that's not really an issue against the Dwarfs, right? Yeah, it seems like it has enough just sort of meat to weather a gunline's fire, to be able to get close and still have enough damage to just burst everything down. Would be interesting. I don't know, like quad cannon, sort of wide gunline builds for Dwarfs. Not super popular these days. You still don't have really anything to fit into the like long rifle role, right? So the Thunderbarge was usable. You'd probably see it in this matchup, although Nurgle's flying pools, they're not incredible. I don't know. Would they be enough to kill the Thunderbarge with appropriate nerfs? Hard to say. But at this point, it's just down to the Slayer heroes, and I believe Imai's, yeah, going to throw in the towel there, although he could try and grind it out with Nurgle. Certainly with the healing and the amount of units left, it's unlikely Slayers would be able to carry the day. So just, yeah, rather than grind it out too long, just admits defeat gracefully. And yeah, the Doomseekers, like I said, pay for themselves, do well, considering the build Leon brought here. A lot of infantry to fight, and even still, Chaos Warriors able to pay for themselves in one instance, do pretty well overall. Same for the Pestigores here. The Marauders kind of do their thing, reasonably cost-effective also, to be honest. Just nice cost spread all the way around, even one of the Furies over 1,000. Then the Plague Ogres, definitely MVPs. Yeah, the anti-large, unfortunately, have the Troll Hammer torpedoes. Like, just swap that one for one out for a regular melee Slayer, and I think this build actually performs like notably better. The Longbeards also, I don't think they necessarily get enough extra value to justify bringing them over just like, you know, what is that, 3 Longbeards? You could get like 5 Miners blasting charges almost out of that, which I think would probably be a better use case. The blasting charges themselves, pretty much anything you throw them at here is going to be good. Even if you just blast out Chaff Marauders, like, it's still just thinning the numbers in your favor. So I would definitely have some charges in this build. But yeah, overall, interesting. I guess the reason for bringing the Longbeards is, in theory, they hold up a little bit better against some of the, like, Pestigores and whatnot, but in practice, I don't know. The Corlers also, like, don't totally hate it. You have to have some missile presence, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe you go for just a YOLO melee rush build. That does leave you a little bit vulnerable to something like Kugath, which I don't think you would see in this matchup, but maybe if someone really wanted to mind metagame themselves. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.